Hi everybody, it's Miss Greta here today. Hope you all are having a good day. Today we are going to talk about recycling. And you all already know that recycling is a process in which we take some of our waste and we turn it into something brand new. So we're going to go over the different things that are able to be recycled, things that are recyclable, and we're going to talk about some interesting facts about different items that we recycle. I think we'll learn something new today. Aluminum is recyclable. Aluminum is like our Coke cans, our soda pop cans, and other kinds of metal are also made out of aluminum. But the thing we see the most is in our cans. Did you all know that a used aluminum can be recycled and get back on the grocery shelf as a new can in as little as 60 days? That's like 2 months. It doesn't take very much time at all. That's super fast. Our aluminum beverage cans are the most recycled item in the United States, but we also recycle other aluminum such as like siding, gutters, parts of cars, or maybe store window frames, and even some kinds of lawn and outdoor furniture. When we recycle one aluminum can, we save enough energy to run a TV for 3 hours, or the equivalent of half a gallon of gasoline. And more aluminum goes into beverage cans than any other product, like we said. So because so many of them are recycled, aluminum cans account for less than 1% of the total U.S. waste stream. And it probably helps that aluminum is not only recyclable but valuable. So when we recycle our aluminum cans and other aluminum items, we can get money back for them. And it's based on weight. So because aluminum is light, it may not be a whole lot for like little things like cans, but still we get paid to recycle. Isn't that cool? An aluminum can that is thrown away can still be a can 500 years from now. There's no limit to the amount of times aluminum can be recycled. So it can be recycled over and over and over again. Other materials sometimes will start to break down after they've been recycled over and over too many times. But aluminum can go on over and over and over forever. We use over 80 million aluminum soda cans every year. At one time, aluminum was more valuable than gold. I didn't know that. That's interesting. And a 60-watt bulb, a light bulb, can be run for over a day on the amount of energy saved by recycling 1 pound of steel. In 1 year, in the United States, the recycling of steel saves enough energy to heat and light 18 million homes. That's a lot. Now let's talk about paper. Our paper recycling facts, and I hope you all are able to recycle paper at home and at school. It's super easy to do. All of our papers like this are old homework papers, or even like our cereal boxes, or things that are paperboard that are not the corrugated cardboard with the wavy lines. All that can be recycled with our mixed paper. In order to produce each week's Sunday newspapers, 500,000 trees must be cut down. That's a lot of trees for just 1 day's worth of all of our newspapers, isn't it? This paper is made from trees. I'm sure you already knew that. Recycling a single run of the Sunday New York Times would save 75,000 trees. Just that one newspaper. Of course, the New York Times is a pretty big paper, but still. If all of our newspaper was recycled, we could save about 250 million trees each year. If you had a 15-year-old tree and made it into paper grocery bags, you'd get about 700 of them. A busy supermarket can use all those in under an hour. That means in 1 year, one supermarket can go through over 6 million paper bags. Imagine how many supermarkets there are in the United States. How many bags, how much paper, how many trees that takes. The average American uses 7 trees a year in paper, wood, and other products made from trees. Wow, that's a lot. This amount of wood and paper we throw away each year could heat about 50 million homes for 20 years. Approximately 1 billion trees worth of paper are thrown away every year in the U.S. That's a lot of paper not getting recycled. Our average household throws away 13,000 separate pieces of paper each year. Most is in packaging and junk mail. I believe that. The 17 trees, if saved, can absorb a total of 250 pounds of carbon dioxide from the air each year. Burning that same ton of paper would create 1,500 pounds of carbon dioxide. Because our trees, not only do they give us items like our paper and wood products, but what else do trees do? They clean our air for us, don't they? As we breathe in oxygen, right? And breathe out our carbon dioxide, and trees breathe in that carbon dioxide, and they filter and clean it and let out oxygen for us to breathe. Now I've got one more for you about paper and trees. The construction cost of a paper mill, that's the factories that make paper, designed to use waste paper, is 50 to 80% less than the cost of a mill using new pulp. So it's important that we recycle our paper. So important to recycle our paper. Now let's talk just a little bit about plastic. Our plastic recycling facts. We use 2,500,000 plastic bottles every hour. Wow, that's a lot. And most of these get thrown away. They don't even get recycled. All our water bottles, our Coke bottles, Mountain Dew, all that stuff, it's really important that we're recycling those when we can. Also, our plastic bags and other plastic garbage that gets thrown into the ocean kills sea creatures. Recycling plastic can save twice as much energy as burning it in an incinerator. So it's another way that we get rid of our waste. Sometimes when we've talked about a landfill, we've talked about that. And remember, we've talked a little bit about our how sometimes we burn our waste. So if we recycle our plastic instead of burning it or throwing it away, we're saving energy also. Okay, now let's talk about glass. Now here in Cocke County, we don't recycle our glass, but there is a facility now in Knoxville that can recycle glass. So what I try to do is I try my best just not to buy glass containers, and if I do buy glass containers, I'll reuse them. But glass is able to be recycled. It is possible to recycle glass, and it's important to do that if we can. So every month we throw out enough glass bottles and jars to fill up a giant skyscraper, and all of those jars are recyclable. All glass is able to be recycled. The energy from recycling one glass bottle, just one, can run a 100-watt light bulb for 4 hours, or a compact fluorescent bulb for 20 hours. It also causes 20% less air pollution and 50% less water pollution than when a new bottle is made from raw materials. A modern glass bottle would take 4,000 years or more to decompose, and it takes it even longer if it gets thrown away and put in a landfill. 4,000 years, so that's just basically like forever. Mining and transporting raw materials for glass produces about 385 pounds of waste for every ton of glass that is made. If recycled glass is substituted for half the raw materials, the waste is cut by more than 80%. Now let's talk a little bit about our solid waste and our landfills. When we talk about municipal solid waste, that just means trash. That's just all our trash. About 1/3 of an average dump is made up of packaging material. Wow, that's a lot. Every year, each American throws out about 1,200 pounds of organic garbage that could have been composted. The United States is the #1 trash producing country in the world at 1,609 pounds per person per year. Us Americans produce the most trash. This means that 5% of the world's people generate 40% of the world's waste. We've got a lot of work to do, don't we? We need to change those habits, huh? The highest point in Hamilton County, Ohio, which is near Cincinnati, is Mount Rumpke. It's actually a mountain of trash at the Rumpke Sanitary Landfill, towering 1,045 feet above sea level. It is literally a mountain made of trash. The U.S. population discards each year 16 million diapers, 2 million razor blades, and 22 million car tires, and enough aluminum to rebuild the U.S. commercial air fleet 4 times over. Out of every $10 that is spent buying things, $1, which is 10% of our money, goes for the packaging that we throw away. Packaging represents about 65% of household trash. I want you to think about that next time you go to throw something away in a trash can, and just peek in there at the trash can in your house and kind of do your own little waste audit of what all is in there. And I bet you'll find a lot of it is just packaging, things that held the item, right? On average, it costs about $30 per ton to recycle trash, $50 to send it to the landfill, and $65 to $70 to incinerate it. So it's expensive to take care of all of our waste, isn't it? I've got a couple more little facts here I'm going to share with you about recycling. It's important to recycle our paper and any other products that we can that come from trees, because we are cutting down these trees. These trees are dying in order for us to make this paper and these wood products. Our rainforests are being cut down at the rate of 100 acres per minute. That's so sad. A single quart of motor oil, now we talked about this before, I think, that we talked about recycling used oil and how sometimes you might need to ask for help if you live out in the county at the convenience center. But when you go to take your trash to the convenience center, what we call the dump, there's a vat there that you can put the used motor oil from changing your oil at home in your car, your truck, or your motorcycle. It's important to do that. Not so that we're not polluting that oil, getting in the wrong place somewhere and polluting our soil or our water, but also a single quart of motor oil, when disposed of improperly, can contaminate up to 200,000 gallons of fresh water. And the motor oil, it never really wears out, it just gets dirty. So oil can always be recycled, refined, and used again over and over again, which reduces our reliance on imported oils. On average, each one of us produces 4.4 pounds of solid waste each day. That adds up to almost a ton of trash per person per year. That's a lot of trash. A typical family, American family, consumes 182 gallons of soda, 29 gallons of juice, 104 gallons of milk, and 26 gallons of bottled water a year. That's a lot of containers. It's very important to make sure those are getting recycled. Okay, I got one other thing I'm going to share with you before we're done today. And you all will get to learn more about this in the next lesson. Since we can't do a real physical field trip in real life, you're going to get a video link, and you're going to get to do a virtual field trip to go look inside a MRF, a materials recovery facility, which is the place that sorts all of our recycling. Okay, it's really a really cool place, and there's a lot of interesting things going on there for you scientists and you engineers out there, and even you mathematicians. You're going to find some pretty cool stuff when you do that. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit about what that is before I go. Okay, a MRF, a materials recovery facility, or MRF for short, that's much easier to say, isn't it? Is where all of the separation of all of our recycling happens, and the sorting and the compacting of it so that it can be recycled into something new. So there's different forces that act upon each recycling object as it goes through the equipment. Like for one is just gravity, so our heavier pieces will fall down to help to sort our recycling. Okay, and the mass of an object, right, which is how much space it takes up, the amount of something that there is important. So, mass, like a truck has more mass than a bicycle, right? A steel coffee can has more mass than a piece of paper, okay? So first, they're going to separate the paper. All the recyclables are going to be pushed from the conveyor belt on these spinning discs. And then the objects with the greater mass are going to what? They're going to fall down because of gravity, right? And paper and cardboard objects will get tossed onto a separate conveyor belt. The fiber material will get carried over these disc screens and get arranged in rows that separate the large, lightweight material like our cardboard boxes from the smaller bits of paper. And then after the paper and cardboard are gone, the next objects are going to be our aluminum, our glass, our plastic, and our steel, right? So next it's going to separate the plastic. And the different types of plastic depends on how much plastic, the different kinds of sorting depends on how much plastic they have. Some of them use an optical scanner device to separate plastic by resin or even color. Just like a grocery store scanner scans the prices scans the code to get the price, an optical scanner can read the type of plastic in the product. It can tell the difference between a water bottle and a yogurt cup. And then the glass, aluminum, and steel are still left on the conveyor belt. Next is going to separate the steel cans. These belt magnet separators can attract the steel cans, and it'll stick to the belt, and then a blade will scrape them off into a separate receptacle. Aluminum and steel are actually two different kinds of metal. We talked a lot about aluminum already, right? Steel is a ferrous kind of metal. That means it contains iron, and aluminum does not. So now we have the aluminum and the glass. The steel is gone. We still have the aluminum and the glass on the belt, right? Then last, there's a force that applies to the objects called an eddy current. It's an electrical phenomenon that is observed, and it repels the magnetic field to shoot it off into another place where it belongs. And finally then, our glass falls down to the end of the line. And now different MRFs work differently. That's just one example. Different ones are set up differently, but all of them's job is to sort and separate our recycling so it can be made into something new. Usually the glass will just fall off and break. And then lastly, it all gets baled. So you think of like a hay bale, how our hay gets put into bales. It's kind of like that. A bale is a large, compact bundle of goods. Each material gets crushed and pressed together and tied into a huge cube, and then it's stacked and prepared for shipping so it can be made into something new. It gets sent off on trucks or boats and places to go to get made into something brand new. Okay. Oh yeah, Miss Mika was just reminding me to tell you all too about how here in Cotton County we do have our own recycling facility. Is Diversified Recycling. It's out like you're going on 2570, like you're going towards Bridgeport School. So anything that you have that you can't recycle at your local convenience centers, almost anything that is recyclable can be taken to him and Freddie Myers at Diversified Recycling, and they'll recycle it for you. Okay, I hope you all learned something new today about recycling, and I hope you enjoy your virtual field trip to the MRF next time around. Have a good day. Bye.